In the grand amphitheater of digital discourse, where the intellectual gladiators Destiny and Vaush cast their critiques upon the ideological tapestry woven by Hasanabi, a symphony of responses erupted from the latter like the oratorical thunder of Cicero challenging detractors in the Roman Senate.
The shit. No, I think that I have viewers who probably watch Destiny debate right-wing reactionary Fender PUA losers, and we're like, well, this guy seems like a liberal. I like him a lot. He's championing a lot of the causes that I care about, and he gave them the permission to also be like kind of racist, but in an edgy way, in a safe way. So they moved in that direction. And after a certain point, it's just like, yeah, if you already have these biases, because he masquerades as a liberal quite well to an audience that is like ill-informed or not really listening to everything that's going on, and if he looks good on TikTok clips and whatnot, then they're just simply never going to come in here and make up their minds, or the ones that do come in here are coming here with a purpose. You not realize, Chad, that D is living in your head rent free as well? Holy fuck. Yeah. I rarely think about this person, and I think you shouldn't either. I mean, you guys bring it up, but there was another Hassan fraud video. They showed us 8-second clips or even shorter to prove their point, and didn't even touch on the amount of journals you get on screen of the Palestinians and conscientious objectors that you've interviewed. Is prime clout farming? Yes. If you see an 8-second video of me online or a 20-second video of me online, okay, that is not a person that is being fair or making a genuine assessment over whatever I'm talking about, okay? That's a person who wants to get on the Hassan train. If you see people pointing to videos like that in your life, get them to watch an actual real YouTube video of mine. Even if they come at it from an uncharitable perspective, I do believe that there are always going to be plenty of people who make up their own minds. Make up your own mind. I say this about everyone, including even Destiny. Okay? Make up your own mind. Unfortunately, there's a small cult following that act in unhinged ways that cause obsessive interaction with which the algorithm favors. Yeah. So, I saw a meme from Zalib that made a thumbnail of you. Invite some SS Soldier next, Lamau. Yeah. Leftist infighting is boring, unproductive. I mean, I wouldn't consider everyone I talk about to be leftist. Okay? Make no mistake. I feel like I take your haters' points more personally than you do. Why doesn't Vaush act charitable towards you on international affairs? Market share, market capture. That's it. There is a anti-Hassan slant that you can try to spear yourself into, where you will get a lot of dudes that are maybe not fully aligned with you, but they will come on board with, like, at least in that very moment, they'll come on board and say, oh yeah, I agree with you. He's also pro-NATO. Anyway, that's it. But these are petty grievances with content creators that are completely irrelevant. Not saying the content creators themselves are irrelevant. I'm saying that the petty grievances are irrelevant. I've been very charitable, I think, to Vaush as far as his takes on Palestine. I mean, on the Yemen situation, we are in disagreement. But overall, I think I will always say this: if someone is decent on this issue, it is the one issue that many people are impossible to actually. Many people just simply have really bad opinions on Palestine. So I will always, regardless of what their other politics may be, I will always maintain that same charitability on this front. But that's it. The whole like Hassan's foreign policy is bad attitude comes from I think in a very cowardly way, trying to ensure that you are a good guy. Like you're trust me, like there's all these other guys who are bad. Like I'm pro-Palestine, but I'm pro-Palestine the right way type shit. But it is pure Western chauvinism for the most part. You stated that the Houthis don't care about Gaza at all and their blockade is about Islamic Jihad. Yeah, that's a really good assessment. Yeah. That's a very disingenuous interpretation of those who are critical of your foreign policy. If a 3-minute video of you can still be considered clip chimp, then it is the only way people could be legitimately critical of you. They do commentary on a whole 8-hour stream. It seems like a catch-22. But if you require viewers to understand so much context just to understand your opinion, at some point you don't have the responsibility to be more concise. if you think that I can describe foreign policy in a more concise way to a inherently reactionary positioned Western chauvinist audience that has been propped up with jingoistic narratives and propped up against Islam in general, with false understandings of Islam, if you think that that is a issue with precision, then you are also personally recognizing how difficult of an undertaking that is. Okay? And as far as my foreign policy perspective goes, I'm fairly certain that Bigums Lajimbo, you are probably unfamiliar with my actual foreign policy assumptions, and you are simply making up your mind off of things that other people have motivated you into believing. If you were to actually examine what I have to say, or if you were to actually ask me what my foreign policy perspective is, for example, I'm willing to bet, and this is, I will say this for every single person, for many, many people, if you were to ask me directly what my positions are on many things, then you would develop a much better understanding than the massaged narratives that you've been geared up with. It's not a weird assumption to make. This is what a lot of people have. This is an assumption that a lot of people have. Why are you getting so upset? You can just simply say, "No, I actually do watch you." Okay, what do you think is a criticism of my foreign policy from your perspective? You can watch me every single day and still not understand that, but go ahead. Watched every single day since 11/11/2023. Yeah. Put you in the back pocket while we continue.
To now, and the White House taking a new step against the Iran-backed.
The orator, in the pursuit of clarifying the mischievous whispers of digital Machiavellis, embarked on a live stream odyssey, a Homeric journey through the tempests of criticism. The orator began by acknowledging the whims of a capricious audience, a mercurial cadre initially drawing to him as a perceived liberal, a shepherd offering a semblance of permission for the expression of edgy, racially biased views. This paradox, akin to the poetic verses of Heraclitus, illuminates the ever-shifting nature of digital allegiance and the Hairean irony that accompanies misperceptions. Hasanabi, with the Herculean weight of frustration, addressed the weaponization of short video clips, the proverbial Trojan horse deployed to assail the citadel of his credibility. This act of deceptive brevity, like wielding the sword of Damocles, hung over the orator, compelling him to champion the call for comprehensive understanding through the consumption of his full YouTube epics. The orator's exhortation for independent intellectual voyages through the vast seas of content, even when viewed through a prism of skepticism, echoes the wisdom of Socratic dialectics. Hasanabi, a modern-day Socrates, thrusts the metaphorical hemlock chalice toward those who dare to question, inviting them to sip from the font of unadulterated discourse. Destiny and Vaush, the titans of ideological sparring, stand as the monoliths of critique on international affairs, particularly the labyrinthine geopolitics of Palestine and Yemen. Hasanabi, in a dance of intellectual camaraderie and dissent, acknowledged the discordant codes but lauded their relatively just stances on the Palestinian quandary. The recognition, akin to diplomatic ballet, reflects an attempt to find common ground in the cacophony of geopolitical discourse. The orator, with the eloquence of a modern-day Erasmus, dismantled claims of fundamental foreign policy flaws, casting them as the artifice of those attempting to position themselves as righteous heralds while denouncing perceived errors in others. The rhetorical flourish, a page from the book of Athenian sophists, underscores the complexity of distilling nuanced foreign policy perspectives into digestible morsels. Hasanabi, the iconoclast of misperceptions, dissected the challenge of encapsulating intricate foreign policy matters in a digital milieu influenced by jingoistic narratives and misinterpretations of Islam. The intellectual labyrinth, akin to the Minotaur's maze, demands a nuanced exploration beyond the simplistic binaries perpetuated by an audience ensnared in the siren song of digestible narratives. In the Byzantine realm of international affairs, the task of elucidating complex foreign policy matters to an audience ensconced in the cocoon of preconceived biases becomes a rhetorical odyssey, a Herculean endeavor demanding finesse and strategic prowess. Navigating the labyrinthine corridors of entrenched beliefs and jingoistic narratives requires a delicate dance that involves not just clarity of communication but also a nuanced understanding of the audience's predispositions. The first strategic compass in this odyssey is the recognition that complex foreign policy matters are, by their very nature, intricate tapestries woven with threads of history, culture, and geopolitics. Acknowledging the complexity is the first step toward dispelling the illusion of simplicity that preconceived biases often impose. The orator must position the discourse as a journey, inviting the audience to embark on a voyage of discovery rather than presenting it as a definitive conclusion. Metaphors and analogies, akin to the allegorical tales of Aesop, serve as invaluable tools in this communication odyssey. By casting complex geopolitical scenarios in familiar contexts, the orator provides a cognitive bridge for the audience to traverse. Analogies become the Virgil to the audience's Dante, guiding them through the inferno of complex policy debates. Strategic repetition, not as a redundant chant but as a thematic refrain, becomes the orator's weapon against biases. Reiterating key points, like a leitmotif in a symphony, reinforces understanding and chips away at preconceived notions. The repetition, when employed judiciously, serves as a rhetorical chisel, sculpting a more nuanced perspective from the marble of entrenched beliefs. The orator must engage in active listening, akin to the Socratic dialectics, to discern the specific contours of the audience's biases. This requires empathy, an ability to inhabit the mental landscapes of the audience, and to acknowledge the legitimacy of their concerns. By recognizing and addressing these concerns, the orator builds bridges instead of erecting walls, fostering an atmosphere conducive to receptive discourse. Language becomes a potent tool in this diplomatic arsenal. The orator must employ a lexicon that transcends ideological echo chambers. Crafting messages with inclusive language, devoid of polarizing terminology, allows the orator to steer away from triggering entrenched biases and invites a more open-minded exploration of the subject matter. The use of multimedia resources, such as maps, timelines, and visual aids, becomes the orator's visual rhetoric. Just as a cartographer charts unknown territories, these tools help the audience navigate the uncharted realms of international relations. The visual narrative, akin to the illuminated manuscripts of yore, complements the spoken word, enhancing comprehension. Storytelling, the age-old tradition of imparting wisdom through narrative, takes center stage in this communication ballet. By weaving stories that humanize complex geopolitical issues, the orator invites the audience to connect emotionally. Stories, like Aesop's fables, carry moral lessons, transcending biases and fostering a more empathetic understanding. The orator must acknowledge the limitations of rhetoric, understanding that minds entrenched in biases may not yield overnight. Patience becomes the philosopher's stone, transforming rhetoric into a long-term transformative process. Consistent engagement, continuous education, and an unwavering commitment to fostering dialogue form the scaffolding for this enduring construction. The orator concluded with a clarion call challenging critics to engage directly with his foreign policy found, urging them to pose questions and seek elucidation rather than imbibing the nectar of narrative spun by others. This exhortation, akin to a philosophical gauntlet thrown before the Colossian spectators, beckons the curious to venture beyond the shadows of others' interpretations and bask in the radiant clarity of first-hand understanding.